We were overwhelmed by something we've never seen before. I know this isn't the last of my crew, but this is my last report as the captain of the Starship Enterprise.
Hi Simon.
Hello.
In Star Trek Beyond, you reprise your role as Scotty, but you are also the writer of the movie. Was there some difficult about doing both jobs?
No, I was worried most of all because I thought my castmates might think that I'd left them, to go and work in a different department. But in actual fact, it ended up being a really positive thing because it meant that they felt represented and we were able to work together with them to formulate certain aspects of each character. So it meant that I had a lot more to do. I was in every day as opposed to just the days that I was shooting. And when I wasn't in front of the camera, I was behind it writing. There are lots of pictures of me on set with my computer just writing. But it worked out surprisingly well.
Nos abordan.
Abandonen la nave.
The remarkable thing about the movie is that the screen time for all the characters, including Scotty, has their moment to shine. Did you think that was a problem in the previous movie, more focus on Kirk?
Yeah, I felt like one of the big focuses of the first two movies was on the relationship between Kirk and Spock. I think that is a relationship that's been around for many, many years, and I think it was probably best to leave it for a while, come back to it later when they've known each other a bit longer, and then, for us right now, it felt like it was a more interesting idea to take a look at them as a whole, as a crew, as an ensemble, and as a family, and to see what would happen when the thing that kind of held their relationship together, being their ship, was taken away.
Here we go, ready, and action. And cut in.
You are very important in this current Star Trek universe, but you are also a big Star Wars fan. You had a character in The Force Awakens. What do you think about the rivalry, the competition between fans of both sagas?
I don't know if it's if that's not just something that's generated by the media. I know that. There are probably fans of Star Trek that will be disparaging about Star Wars and vice versa, but generally speaking, you can be a fan of gangster movies and cowboy movies. You don't have to have just one. And really, Star Wars and Star Trek are far more different than the casual observer might suggest. Star Trek is science fiction and Star Wars is science fantasy, and they're two separate genres. Fantasy is a fairy tale. Star Wars happens in a different galaxy at a different time. This is our galaxy. This is our future. And so for that reason, it's not like you can only like one. They're different things. It's like saying, what do you like, chicken or ice cream? I like both, but not together.
Now, crew, how are we gonna get out of this one?
We will find hope in the impossible.
What was the main challenge about write a movie of Star Trek?
Just making sure that it felt accessible to people that had never seen Star Trek, and at the same time felt like a Star Trek movie to people that did know Star Trek. It was a careful tightrope to walk to make sure that anyone that had been a fan of Star Trek for 50 years felt like, yes, I recognize this is Star Trek. But someone who had never seen Star Trek sat down, watched it, and thought, oh, this was good. I'll go and see the other Star Trek films, and track back. I used to love that when I was a teenager discovering bands. When you discover a band that's been out for a long, when you discover the Beatles and you realize that there are 8 albums, that you haven't heard, it's always an exciting prospect.
Sé por qué estás aquí, porque estamos todos aquí. Nuestro capitán vendrá a buscarnos y la piedad será lo último en lo que piense.
Estoy contando con eso. Esos son nuestros amigos. No podemos abandonarlos.
And what about the music, the soundtrack, the Beastie Boys, and all that kind of records?
Yeah, that was a fun idea that we had about the past coming back to attack the future. You know, it's a kind of like using nostalgia as a weapon, basically. It was the idea came about in quite a complex way, but eventually it just became about jailer finding this sort of like archive of Earth music and taking a liking to early sort of 90s hip hop, late 80s hip hop. And for a weird reason, and to Scotty, that's weird old music to Scotty. It's like, why do you like that? But it ends up being the very thing that distracts that interrupts the way that the Swarm talk to each other.
Finally, what is the status of Mission Impossible 6? Are you on board of that movie?
I have no idea. I am, but as far as I know, we've stopped production. We were due to start early next year, but that's not happening now. So who knows?
I hit a wall! I hit a wall!
Star Trek Sin Límites, solo en cines.